Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's regular meeting of the Woburn City Council for September 17, 2024. Just a reminder to everyone, tonight's meeting is being recorded for broadcast. Also, please silence your cell phones. If you can, please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Higgins, if you would call the roll, please.
Counsel Campbell.
Present.
Counsel Demers.
Present.
Counsel DeMambro.
Present.
Counsel Ferrullo.
Present.
Counsel Mercer Bruin.
Present.
Counsel Papalato.
Present.
Counsel Toro.
Present.
Counsel Viola.
Present.
President Dillon.
Present.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to dispense with the reading of the previous meeting's journal and approve.
Second.
The motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
First item on the agenda is an order transferring $525,345.15 from mayor salary adjustment account to police regular salary account for contract settlement Superior Police Union.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Second.
The motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next is the order authorizing the mayor to enter into a friendly taking at 6 Common Street.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to the Committee on Liaison.
Second.
Motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes, Councilor Papalato.
So I do have some concerns over the budget impact on this property. I think that the $1.5 million is the starting point of what we're asking for, and we need to start factoring in things like cooling the building and heating the building and maintaining the building, and it just seems like it's, I have a suggestion on this thing, and maybe it's good. Oh, excuse me. Okay. But my apologies, this is going to committee,
Yes,
so I'll hold off my thoughts for the next time through.
thank you.
Apologize.
No problem. Yes, Councilor
I
King.
actually would like to know what you've learned, if you don't mind. Is that okay?
I don't
Yeah,
see why
thank you,
not.
Counselor.
I don't know what I've learned beyond that. I just have a suggestion on what we might
Sure,
do
go
going
ahead.
forward. And I know that we're doing this. You came before us a few months ago and asked for permission to look into it, and I thought it was a great idea at that point. But it seems like things have sped up significantly since then. And I feel like a recommendation, if we're crimped on space in the city hall, have we thought of things like remote workforce? Have we thought of things to, so that we wouldn't have to go off and go ahead and purchase another building there? Now, maybe that's not gonna work, or maybe it is, but it went from the first request to, we ship right into this without a lot of discussion. So that's what I was questioning.
Okay,
That's-
thank
that's
you.
all.
Yeah.
Councilor,
Just a point of clarification for me, maybe I'm a little lost here, but I thought we were talking about the order for the taking. Are the two connected, the two orders?
You have 2 orders. One right now is for the order for the taking. The next item on the agenda is the order for
The
the
1.5.
appropriation. Both,
They're
yes.
connected. Are they connected in some way?
Yes, one is for the actual paying for it, the appropriation.
Okay, I totally lost on that. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea that there would be a taking involved with the purchase of the building. So now, having said that, now that I'm back on the same page, I would like to also express my concerns. One, about the taking specifically. I assume although it's a friendly taking, but as it's connected to the 1.5 million, the council did agree to have an investigation, and I can only assume that some kind of presentation is going to come with this 1.5 million or $500,000 request. I too have concerns, only because some of the other expenditures that we've already engaged in a very short order, since June, in fact. So I'm just hoping we get a lot more detail at that time.
very good.
Thank you.
Councilor Toro.
Thank you. I think we're just making a motion to send this to committee, which will debate this a little bit further moving forward. So I think we just move forward with the motions, debate it in committee, and go from there, right? I think that's all we're doing, so that's
Councilor
it.
Brewer.
And Councilor Toro is absolutely right, except for I will tell the council that I had a few calls about this because I posted the agenda on Facebook. So that was why I wanted to raise it tonight. And again, I apologize, I didn't realize that there was a taking attached to this as well. So thank you.
One's good? So there is a motion.
You already voted to have it go to committee.
Yep.
Next item on the agenda.
Okay,
Okay.
very good.
Next item on the agenda is the order authorizing, order transferring $1.5 million from stabilization fund to Woburn City Hall Annex Building account for the purchase and rehab of City Hall Annex Building at 6 Common Street.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is the order amending Woburn Municipal Code Title II Administration and Personnel by adding Building Feasibility Department.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Ordinance, Charter, and Rules.
On the motion?
Yes, Councilor Campbell.
Just a quick note, I spoke to Mayor Concanon today. I had looked at the charter, and from my reading, it seems that we cannot make another department by itself. It cannot stand alone. We can't make a standalone department. It would need, for something like this particular facility would need to be under the superintendent of public works, but, which, when I was talking to the mayor, you could do a home rule petition, and then you could have the department. But obviously, I just wanted to bring that out so we're aware of it, and when it goes to committee, we can talk about it more.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Councilor Brewer.
I know that it's going to committee, but again, I had calls about this as well, given the current amount of spending that we've engaged in since June. So I'm going to have a lot of questions about this, not just about the money, but how it's going to work as a whole and how we justify spending this money. And I also have concerns about the educational requirements and the fact that it's not going, not being advertised publicly. But I guess we'll get to that in committee. Thank you.
Anyone else? So there is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is the order amending Woburn Municipal Code 2-180 base salaries to establish the building feasibility director at $135,000.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Finance.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
And next is the order transferring the $135,000 from mayor salary adjustment account to building feasibility director salary account.
Make a motion that we send that off to the Committee on Finance.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is the order amending Woburn Municipal Code 2-180 base salaries for various base salaries.
Make a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Ordinance, Charter, and Rules.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda under new petitions is Wild Fox Restaurant Group LLC DBA The Fox Den for a special event permit for a porch fest at Pocket Park on October 12th, 2024.
Make a motion the special event permit be granted.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second that the special permit be granted. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is New Path Inc. for a special event permit for a walking event at 147 New Boston Street in area streets on October 5th, 2024.
Make a motion the special event permit be granted.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is the Woburn Host Lions Club for a special event permit for a road race at Pond Pond and area streets on October 20th, 2024, with request for waiver of umbrella liability
Make
insurance.
a motion the matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
So motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item is Festival on the Common for a special event permit to allow festival on Woburn Common and surrounding streets on November 30th, 2024, with request for waiver liability insurance.
Same motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Petition by People Fit LLC for a special event permit for a breast cancer awareness walk at Hon Pond and area streets on October 5th, 2024, with a request for waiver of umbrella liability insurance.
Make a motion that matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
The motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Petition by International Circle for Kids and Youth for a special event permit for a fashion show at Horn Pond Ice House Park on October 27, 2024, with a request for a waiver of umbrella liability insurance.
Make a motion that matter be referred to the Committee on Public Safety and License.
Second.
Motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is St. Vincent de Paul Society for Woburn for a license to conduct Beano at 8 Summer Street.
Make a motion that we suspend the rules to allow the petitioner to speak.
Second.
Motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Would the petitioner like to step forward and speak in this matter?
Mr. Sheridan? Did you want to speak on the?
How are you tonight, sir? Please step forward and state your name and address, please, and tell us a little bit about this.
Yes, I will. Thank you. The Society of St. Vincent de Paul is an international organization. We're based here in Woburn. We're feeding 5,000 people monthly. The food supplies are narrow to slim and getting thinner from the existing supplies that we have. We are reaching out to borders that we have. I have a 30-year background in the food service business. I've been with them for 1 year. I have never seen supplies get to be this thin from existing suppliers I have known for 25 years in my personal life, like you know each other. All right? So right now, we are launching this program to offset revenue attrition from existing sources, as well as grants. We're launching a new grant program to support ourselves and really have respect of the organization that we have had, and to maintain living conditions for people who are living on the edge of society in this town. People who are citizens of this town. Okay, there are, again, we have taken a meteoric rise of people who have lived in this town. Again, I repeat, citizens of this town, who pay taxes in this town, who can't pay their electric bill, who have a need for a chairlift, who can't pay medical bills. We are going beyond the borders of normal care. Okay, and we're doing this within the confines of state and national laws. I mean, there's not something, not being mavericks about it, or we're just doing what we can within the Society of St. Vincent de Paul here in this town with the resources we have. But we're stretched. And we look at bingo as a chance to have, frankly, a little fun, generate some income, and help mitigate, if that's the right word, some of the offset of attrition of revenue sources that have dried up. I have a very good following, if you will, in the food community personally, from the personal career I have had. It's not about me, it's about the people that I know, and they're willing to step in and help supplant some of the food sources that we desperately need in the area of protein, healthy things, to supplant the food that's just not available from the existing sources because their sources are overrun with demand. It's no one's fault, it's just the way it is. And we need this to maintain a budget just like anyone else, and it's amazing what we're faced with. We've gone from we're an all-volunteer organization. No one gets paid, no one. And it's just, that's how simple it is. I don't want to take up more time than I'm being allotted. I think I know this gentleman from church. He knows me, and I don't want to go on and on, but my wife says, Mike, of all the things you've got working for you, your mouth is probably the best thing that goes for you. I say that publicly in jest, but that's what I'm here for.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilor Demers.
No, Mr. President, I just wanted to say that I think I speak for everybody when we can find a way to assist in local organizations who help our community and members of our community in need, will by all means be all in support of it. So I'm sure many of my colleagues will be joining me in supporting the permit.
We urgently need it, and we greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your good
Very
work.
much.
Mr. President, I'll withdraw.
I was just going to ask, has the license been granted through the state, or is this just in process?
It goes to us first.
I'm sorry.
It goes, and then, so the city council and the mayor would have to approve as well, and then it would go to the lottery commission.
Good, thank you.
If you approve it, if I'm correct, if you approve it here, there's nothing, there's no else, but it's just a process. It's your approval that's critical.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to return the regular order of business.
Second.
Motion and a second to return to the regular order of business. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I'll make a motion that the Beano license be granted.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Ride On Vintage, petition for a new second-hand dealers and second-hand collector's license at 438A Main Street.
Make a motion the matter be referred to a public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to refer this for a public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Petition by Treetop Home LLC for a special permit under Woburn zoning ordinance, section 7.3, to raise a pre-existing non-conforming four-family dwelling and rebuild a new four-story dwelling at 5 Bennett Street.
Make a motion the matter be referred to public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is Asheville LLC for a special permit under Woburn zoning ordinance, section 7.3, to rebuild a covered egress staircase and decking at the rear of an existing three-family dwelling at 100 Main Street.
Same motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Under public hearings, under Auto Works for a special permit under section 5.1 subsection 44, and to amend a previously issued special permit dated May 27th, and to remove a condition under 2 at 921 Main Street. This is actually, there was a miscommunication. This should not be on the agenda tonight. We're working with the petitioner and city solicitor to make sure it's back on after the appeals process.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and take the next matter on the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
And that would be for the Manganaro Northeast LLC petition?
That's correct.
Okay, so next item on the agenda after the suspension of rules is Manganaro Northeast LLC for a special permit under section 5.157B of the Woburn zoning ordinance to allow for an accessory overnight parking of 4 commercial vehicles at 11 State Street. A communication dated yesterday, a communication dated September 6, 2024 was received from John Cashel, the planning director, as well as a communication dated September 16, 2024 was received from the attorney Scott R. McNeil, requesting a continuance.
Make a motion that the matter, make a motion that the communications be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I believe the petitioner's attorney is here if you want to hear from him.
Yes. How are you, sir, tonight?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm Attorney Scott McNeil with Hinckley Allen. I just wanted to thank you for the continuance and wanted to make myself available if the board had any questions at this time.
Anyone have any questions?
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion that the public hearing be continued to the regular meeting of the city council on October 15th.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Thank you, councilors.
Mr. President?
Yes,
did
Councilor
we-
Campbell.
Did we miss the petition for 335 Washington Street?
They just made an order to move this out of order.
Ah, okay.
If you move to the regular order of business next, then we can,
Make a
I
I
motion
just
that
didn't
we,
know why we did skip it. Okay, go ahead.
make a
Thank
motion
you.
we return to the regular order of business.
Second.
Motion and a second to return to regular order of business. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
next item on the agenda is 335 Washington Street Holdings for a special permit under section 5.1 subsection 69 and section 7.3, as well as a modification of previously issued special permit to allow for a childcare center at 335 Washington Street. A committee report was received from the Committee on Special Permits for Back for Action. Items that are not on the extended agenda. The following communications were received as part of the permanent record during the Committee on Special Permits. One, a communication dated August 22nd, 2024 from Attorney Joseph R. Tarby regarding special permit. Communication dated August 27th from Jay Corey, the city engineer. Third, a communication dated August 28th from Benjamin Minix, the engineering company. A fourth, a communication dated September 9th from Benjamin Minix. And then additionally, today, we got 2 more emails from Benjamin Minix.
Make a motion that the communications be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Gentlemen, how are you tonight?
Good evening. Glenwood from Reuben and Rudman, again, pinch hitting for Joe Tarby, who's out this evening with me, is the applicant, John Paul Martinetti. When we met this past week with the Special Permits Committee, we went through and generated special conditions. There's been further evolution of those, in particular, Special Condition 5. They've been submitted by email today, but I do have full copies of those.
Motion, we accept those as part of the permanent record as a
Second.
working document?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Additionally.
Just wait, do you mind if I just
Yes.
pass it on? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You could. Yeah, additionally, there is
Wait,
final.
just wait till
Sorry.
the clerk's there so she can take her notes. Thank you, sir.
Apologies.
I'll make a motion that we receive the plans as
Second.
Motion and,
permanent record.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Additionally, I've just submitted new final revised plans dated the 17th from Eagle Brook Engineering.
Very good.
You already accepted.
Questions?
Yep.
All set?
Yes.
Just to focus for a few minutes on the conditions, on page 2, number 7, we've added that lighting is dark sky compliant. We've also added in, as was discussed at committee, the fencing with solid panel made of vinyl or similar composite materials. And number 9, we've added that there's no special events that are going to occur that would take place in the parking lot. Additionally, there's been a bit of refinement again per discussions at committee and subsequent to that to number 5 and the proposed mitigation. We're again proposing to fund a total of 8 buttons, 4 of which, for a total cost of $8,000, 4 of which will be installed at the Salem Street, Washington Street intersection prior to issuance of the occupancy permit. Additionally, 4 additional buttons will be provided to the city for installation at Cedar Street and Washington Street. And again, the purpose is, as John Paul spoke at committee this past week, is we've got a timing issue wherein the mitigation that will be under review by DOT could take a significant period of time, and if the occupancy permit was tied to that, it could have a dramatic effect on the ability of our client to open their operation. And so we've modified Special Condition 5 to, in our view, allow for the occupancy permit to issue, but a mechanism wherein all 8 buttons would be both either installed or provided to the city. If we have any other questions, myself or John Paul will be happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Bruin?
Thank you. I know we talked a lot about this in committee, and I did speak with Attorney Tarby earlier today. And as I said in committee, I was looking for some additional stronger language as it relates to the equipment. And I understand we're not going to tie it to occupancy. And I'm fine with that. But one of the things I did speak with Attorney Tarby about is adding a last sentence to Condition 5 for the council to consider, as well as, I'm not sure if Attorney Tarby brought this up to, this is a very late afternoon conversation. So the last sentence to that, number 5, would read, upon delivery of the equipment to the city engineer's office, the petitioner will notify the city council through the city clerk that the equipment was delivered, the date it was delivered, and to whom it was delivered in the city of Woburn.
No problem at all.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion that we add that to the last line of Condition 5.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
I had some other things, but I'm sure the council might have other questions before we open it up for the public hearing. I don't know, but,
Is there anyone else?
so I'm going to make a motion to open up the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward and state your name and address. Seeing no one.
Before we close the public hearing, President?
Yes.
So for the petitioner and council, I'm going to make a motion to add a condition that in 6 months, we review the special permit, just to see how things are going. I know the city council has a right to do that at any time, but if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, somebody might forget. So I absolutely insist that that be done, given some of the concerns that people have had with, not with this particular site. I have heard from a couple of people that are concerned, so I think that it behooves us to include that as a condition 10. And I hope the council, I'm going to make that in the form of a motion, that in 6 months from occupancy, that the special permits meeting, folks gather, just to take a look and see how things are working over there.
Make a second on that.
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that is 8-1.
In terms of the rest of the conditions, when we get to the drop-off, parents and/or guardians shall park in marked spaces for purposes of picking up and dropping off. All students shall be escorted into and out of the child care center by their parents or guardians. Originally, we had a sentence in there that said, it's redlined here.
There shall be no dropping.
There shall be no dropping off of children in front of the building. I'd like that added back in. And if there's any major dispute about adding that back in, then I really think we need to go back to committee, because that does change how cars are moving about through that parking lot. There didn't seem to be any concern when we were in committee. People said this would be how it would happen, and that parents would get notifications that this is going to how it's going to happen. So I'm hoping that's not a concern for you gentlemen tonight.
No, not at all. So
Okay.
the changes to the language were just to reflect the intent exactly as discussed.
Exactly, and
It
I know
just-
it seems repetitive,
Well, as
JP, but,
as we read it, it said, pick up and drop off won't happen, I think, through the front door or at the entrance, which is like, the kids need to get, obviously, in the building. So it wasn't in an effort to deflect from the intent. So the language that we came up with says, you have to park in spaces for pickup and drop off. You have to escort your child into and out of the center. So we thought that language accomplished the same intent without providing kind of a weird language that says you can't pick up and drop off out of the front door. It was just like, we can say that clearer. So it wasn't an attempt to divert the language.
no worries. I know it was brought up, well, what if it rains or something like that? Not by you folks,
Yeah.
a conversation I had earlier. But again, if that is the intent, that you want to change the configuration when it rains or when it snows,
We don't.
that changes how everything works in
Yeah,
that lot.
policy does not change. The parents must park in marked
Okay.
spaces, and parents must escort in and out of the building.
Great, I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that. Thank you, JP. That's all I have, unless my fellow counselors have anything else.
Counselor Viola.
Thank you. JP, quick question. The marked spaces that it talks about for picking up and dropping off, are those separate from the parking spaces for everybody that they're going to park?
When you say everybody,
So anybody that's going to the childcare center, is there specific spots just for picking up and dropping off, or is the whole parking lot going to
well,
be
the
utilized?
intent is to try and get the parents as close to the entrance as possible for purposes of obviously safety. The closer, the better. But in terms of how it functions, parents park in spaces, take their kids by the hand, enter the center, and leave on their own.
Right.
We don't allow outside parking. Parents are responsible for their children all the way into the building.
And then another question I have is, in the front of the building where the parents will be walking in with the children or the guardians, is there going to be any writing markings on the ground saying no parking?
We've got a hatched-off area for no parking. Parents will obviously be informed And then we've got a bollarded protection zone as well, so that as parents are exiting the building, you know, they're in protected space before they head to their vehicles.
Right, just the only reason I'm asking is because if there's inclement weather, say rain, snow, whatever, you don't want parents, even though they know not to stop and live park there.
Yep.
You don't want them doing that.
Listen, I'd be happy, you know, if you'd like to add a condition that says no parking signage at the front entrance or something of the sort, we're fine with that. That's,
So you'd be okay instead of the hash marks, including as well, no parking?
well, I'd like to leave the hatching because it's very obvious to people, but if you'd like us to add that text inside of the hatching, that's fine, that's not a problem at all.
I'll make that in the form of a motion then.
Second.
So the motion is to amend or add it?
To add, we'll add a number 11, that'll say, hash marks in front of building will include no parking, verbiage.
Text, yeah, that's fine.
Two centers now. Is it helpful to share what we do now?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it helpful to share what we do now?
Yeah, if you'd like to, yeah, please.
Just state your name and address, please.
Hi, yes, Anita Martinetti Sassy. I'm with the daycare center. I just wanted to address your question. We currently have two centers running now. We have inclement weather all the time. At both of our centers, we do not allow live parking. Actually, in our handbook, it asks parents to turn off their cars and park in spaces as well. So as the two centers currently successfully operate, there is not an issue with that.
So,
Thank you.
I just have a clarification. What is the motion on the floor? What is your motion again?
The motion is to add,
Condition number 11
stating that, in front of the building, hash marks shall be, placed on the ground in front of entranceway, with no parking, verbiage on the ground.
It's a form of a
Verbiage on the ground
motion,
or signs?
Well, on the ground, it's gonna be on the ground.
and there was a second.
I seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Yes, Counselor Boone.
Just so the council is aware, you know, when we met in committee, there were still some open issues with Superintendent Duran. And although he and I did not speak in person today, he did send an email, which President Dillon was copied on, as well as the petitioner. Reads all, I just got off the phone with Mr. Martinetti, and I am now satisfied with my understanding of the drainage system, both on and off-site. It is also my understanding the fire department is also satisfied. Based upon the foregoing, I have no further concerns at this time. And I'd like to make a motion that that email be accepted as part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
If
Second.
if I might.
Yes.
Oh,
Withdraw.
apologies.
Yes, sir.
On the additional condition regarding the 6-month review, I want to be abundantly clear on what that language means, because, you know, as as you mentioned, and as we understand, in the event there are any issues with a special permit, there is a process for the city council review committee to bring an existing permit back before that committee, and that's obviously something we're totally fine with. My question is, you know, the exact verbiage as a recorded document and, you know, as a multi-million-dollar investment that we're looking to make, what exactly does that mean? And, you know, what consequences could that possibly have for us? And I ask that because obviously it's a substantial investment, and we'd like to understand if there's any potential erosion of rights under the existing special permit and what that consists of.
Counselor Boone?
I'm not an attorney, like many people in front of us. The intent of the 6-month review is just to make sure things are operating the way that we all anticipated that they would operate. If things weren't operating, whether or not we had that in place, the city council certainly could pull you right back in and start the process to take the permit away. This is a friendly way of saying to you, we just like to check in. And when you show up, JP, and everything's working just fine, this should have nothing to do with finance. Nobody's saying we're going to take your permit away. There's a process for that. That's not this process.
Well, I hear you wholeheartedly, and I don't think that's anyone's intent. It's just having the language is actually in the special permit with the word review without clarity on what that means versus having the actual process where, you know, there's an existing written process. So I guess my question is the review, the word review necessary, or if the 6-month thing is important, can we change it to say the petitioner will come before the board for an update on operations or something of the sort?
I'm perfectly fine with that, as long as we have a 6-month mark on it. And
Yeah.
how about the language, I will, I don't know if I have to, I'm going to make a motion to amend the language for that condition, that it should read, "The Special Permits Committee will convene with the petitioner to do a general review of operations."
I'm trying
6
desperately
months.
to avoid the word review, because I don't know what that means.
We'll convene to, what would,
My suggestion would be that the petitioner or the applicant will, come back before city council or the committee to provide an update on operations or something to that effect.
I am fine with the language as
Presentation
it's
on
suggested. It gets us
operations.
where I'm trying to go. Because as I said before, if something happens with this, we have a process to take that permit away. So, Lindsay, Clerk Lindsay, did you get?
No, because
Okay.
someone in this council has to make the motion.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion that the city council in 6 months will gather with the petitioner to
Give update
to
on
give an
opera-
update on general operations of the business.
With the caveat, I think that it should be 6 months from the issuance of an occupancy permit, maybe?
That's how I suggested it
Okay.
when we were talking about a special
Great.
permit review.
Thank you, ma'am.
So that language should be there. So that's the motion.
City, can you, I'm sorry, this is a lot of back and forth. City council in 6 months, and the petitioner will give an update.
And the general operations of the business. And that will happen 6 months from occupancy.
And that is in the form of a motion.
Yes.
Second.
And it was to amend the original.
Thank you.
Condition number 10, yes.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. Again, the financing and none of that really has anything to do with the city council, so I'm glad we found a way to get there.
It's a commitment to each other. So we want to spend the money, and we hope that you folks would like to see us make the investment and have the opportunity for people to get, daycare, so we appreciate it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion that the permit be granted
Should
with the,
Sorry, you should make findings before you ever grant a special permit.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that the city
Have the
council.
findings. Go
Yep,
ahead.
City council make the following finding, that the city council finds that the partial use of the non-conforming structure as a childcare center is less detrimental than the prior uses that previously occupied said portion of the non-conforming structure.
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes.
Make a motion to grant the special permit with the 11 conditions as outlined this evening.
second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Gentlemen, good luck.
Thank you,
Thank
JP.
you for your
Thank you
business.
very
So
much.
Good luck. Thank you.
Good luck.
Next item on the agenda is 25 Everett Street Trust for a special permit on section 5.1 subsection 5 and 8.3.3 to allow for the construction of a mixed-use building consisting of commercial space and 8 residential units above and the use of municipal parking facilities at 0 Walnut Street. A communication dated September 17th, 2024 was received from Attorney James Giuliano.
Make a motion the communication be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
That communication is before you right now. It was a request to continue.
Yep. Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
A motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward.
Good evening, Mr. President. Attorney James Giuliano for the applicant, 607 Main Street here in Woburn, Mass. As the correspondence suggests, we are seeking another continuance, hopefully to the next public hearing. We are working again with Jay Duran, the superintendent, just to finalize the drainage as was requested by the city council at the last meeting. I feel like we're almost there, but we want to get it completely right so that there's no issues at the next city council meeting. I think we're almost there, and we're going to finalize everything. So we would like another continuance just until the next public hearing to do that.
Questions from anyone?
Just,
Councilor Boone?
to the city councilor responsible. Will we need another special permit meeting, or are we good to just go to public hearing?
I think we're good to go.
Okay?
Yeah, I would just, if I may make a comment, I think we're ready to go as well. I think the only thing is, it's going to be a yay or nay kind of thing. It's not going to be sort of, I'm not anticipating any discrepancies as to what Jay Duran comes back with. We're either going to meet what he's requiring, or we're not. So I think we're pretty much good for a public hearing and not have this go to committee.
I only ask Attorney Giuliano because we're going to have to set the agenda for that on Thursday, and I
Yeah.
want to make sure we don't slow it up. So thank you for the
Agree.
clarification.
Yeah, we want to put this to bed as clean as possible
Okay.
after, obviously, a couple
Thank you,
months of this,
President.
so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Seeing no one.
Make a motion that the matter be continued to the regular meeting of the city council on October 1st.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Attorney Giuliano.
Next item on the agenda is David Jamison for a special permit under section 5.1 subsection 69 and section 7.3 to allow for the extension and alteration of a non-conforming structure to change the roof line and the continued use of existing non-conforming parking spaces at 5 Burlington Street. A communication dated August 27, 2024 was received from Attorney Joseph R. Tarby regarding special permit petition of David Jamison, 5 Burlington Street, Woburn, Massachusetts. Further communication dated September 6, 2024 was received from John Cashell, the planning director, and not on the extended agenda, drawings for 7 Burlington Street, Woburn, Mass, dated September 12, 2024, were submitted on September 17, 2024, from Kenneth A. Woods, 20 Temple Street, Newburyport, Massachusetts.
Make a motion that all the communications are received made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes. How are you, sir?
Good evening again. Glenn Wood from Rubin and Rudman. With me this evening is the applicant, David Jamison, and also tonight, who's available to comment or answer any questions, is Steve Dodge, the site contractor. There's 2 units, or 2 buildings that exist at 5 Burlington Street. There was a fire, as the council is aware, at Unit 2 of, back in August of last year. The structure was built in the 1890s, and to rebuild the unit but still comply with the existing 35-foot zoning height under the city zoning ordinance, roofline modifications are needed to deal with the state building code and new framing requirements. We have no objections from the planning department. It's a non-conforming structure due to front and side yard setbacks. It's a non-conforming use because it's a multifamily dwelling. We're in the R1 district. We're looking for a finding here that the alteration of the non-conforming structure and use is acceptable, and we would ask that the application be moved on this evening. Happy to answer any questions, and again, Mr. Dodge is here as well as the property owner. Thank you.
Questions from the council? Just from the chair, I understand from looking at the paperwork, there is no increase in the number of units. I also spoke with Commissioner Quinn, and he has no problems with this petition as well. So just for the record.
Thank you for those notes. Thank you, sir.
Just a
Yes, Councilor Demis.
point of clarification, Attorney. So on the proposed change elevations, it has it as a height of 30 feet. What was the existing height?
I believe it was, Steve, do you want to jump up here too? I don't have that measurement. Don't?
I'm just curious as to what the difference is, because one set of plans had the height.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
proposed plans had the height. We didn't
Just,
get the
sir, state your name and address,
Yeah, the
please,
pro-
for the
Yes.
record.
Steve Dodge, 28 Pool Street. So we went with Joe's to get the proposed height because that was the biggest impact. So we didn't actually get the existing height of the flat roof. But if, not here to give guesstimates though, so I can get you that measurement if you'd like.
Yeah, it's just a I'm just wondering what the impact
Yeah,
on the neighbors is gonna be in the sense of
Your line of sight impact?
line of sight impact,
Shadowing and stuff?
all sorts of stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, Dave's the only neighbor on one side, nobody in the back, and there's no real impact on the left side, in my opinion, but
My understanding, sir, from talking with Joe, is that it's the same height, so my understanding is it was 30 and will be 30. But it isn't obviously on the existing condition plan, I realize that.
I would say it is gonna be, it's gonna be, if you were looking for a measurement, it's basically just creating attic space, no square footage is
Yep.
gonna be livable up there. So
Yeah,
we're
and
just
I'm not out here trying to give you a hard time, it's
Yeah,
just.
no, I'm just trying to get a guesstimate. I'll give you an estimate of about,
Because I
10
also,
feet lower than the measurement that's proposed.
okay, so the existing height would be around 20 feet.
Yeah, it's about 20 feet. The grade changes quite a bit on that property.
Mm-hmm.
So at some spots, I can actually physically get on the flat roof on the back of the building.
Just from the chair, it may help with Councilor Demir's question. It's a flat roof that was there. It is now going to be a regular pitched roof.
Yep.
The thought behind it, from me reviewing the paperwork, is that it will fit more into the neighborhood of a residential setting. Thank you for indulging me. Anyone else? Councilor Bowen.
I don't want to, slow things down. I'm just concerned that something like the measurements in plans isn't clear. And maybe it wouldn't hurt to get that clarification and take this to the next step. But again, I won't hold it up. It's not, I'm just saying out loud what is banging in my head. I was just a little worried about that. We wouldn't do that with most other things, ever.
And I don't want to deliberate unless I turn over the gavel.
I'm sorry?
Switch,
Joe, would you,
you take
Yeah,
over.
if you wanna.
please?
President Dillon, you recognize.
Thank you, sir. This is in my ward. I did review the petition. I spoke with Commissioner Quinn. It was a fire. They're not adding any unit count. It is a flat roof that was there, built, good, well, they stated it. A pitch roof is going to fit much more into the residential neighborhood, in my opinion, and I believe that was the intent as well. I'm not even sure, and this is more perhaps for a question for Commissioner Quinn, if a flat roof by code could be done, replace their residential use. But your question is, I guess the big problem is you'd like to know what the height was on the flat roof. That's the part that's missing.
And maybe I'm missing something, but isn't that how you determine what the height will be? Well, starting.
A flat
when
roof.
When you put it on, right? So, I've never seen the council approve plans before when we didn't have the plans that are exact. So that's what's holding me up here. And Councilor President Dillon, if you're okay with this, I'll support you 100%.
Thank
If it was me, I would say, I'm taking it back. I want to know exactly the inches, even if it's a half an inch. But I support you 100%. You've been out there, you've looked at it. If you're good,
If I may.
Councilor Dillon?
and you're in facilities, right? You know these things.
I have a Massachusetts construction supervisor's
Okay.
license.
I'm good, President. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Yep.
What's the will of the committee? Attorney, do you have anything to add?
Nothing more, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition.
We have to open the public
I'll make a
hearing.
motion to open the public hearing.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Is there anybody in the crowd that'd like to speak in favor on this petition this evening? Or opposed?
Thank you.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
I'll make a motion to approve the petition.
Second.
You need to, I
Yes.
believe this is under 7.3. Am I right or no? Nope, it's, wait, hold on.
From the chair, if it's a non-conforming use, the
You
council.
need to make a finding first.
need to
'cause it's
make a
under
finding.
7.3.
I'll make a finding that the petition is in no way any detrimental to the previous,
You make the required finding under 7.3?
please.
Okay.
And that the petition in front of us is in no more detrimental than the previous structure.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Make a motion to approve the petition.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is STA Properties at 56 Dragon LLC for a special permit under Section 7.3 and Section 5.1 subsection 57B to allow for the extension of alteration of pre-existing non-conforming use at the premises and accessory overnight dwelling at 56 Dragon Court. Communication dated September 10th, 2024 was received from Carrie M. Armstrong of Johnson and Borenstein, and further communication dated September 6th, 2024 was received from John Cashell, the planning director, and I believe those are the communications.
Make a motion that communications be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
The motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes. How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. My name is Carrie Armstrong. I'm an attorney with Johnson and Borenstein in Andover. We are representing the applicant. The applicant could not be with us tonight. He had a knee surgery that was moved up. In the interest of full disclosure, however, the applicant is also my husband. So any questions as to the business, I feel qualified to answer as well. We are before you tonight asking for an extension of a pre-existing non-conforming use at 56 Dragon Court. This is a building that I'm sure the council is quite familiar with, as well as that area. The existing use that is there now, when the lot was created and the building was first built, the entire lot sat within an industrial district. There was a subsequent rezoning that landed this as a split lot, which has probably about 3/4 to a little bit more of it in a residential district now, with the rear end of the property in an industrial district still. The existing use that's in there is currently an engraving shop, which I believe has been the use that was in there since the building was first built. So we're going back to the 1980s. It's been a continued use. The business that we're looking to put in there now is essentially a contractor's office with storage. It's an audio-video company that will be going in. So administrative offices will be there, as well as storage of inventory, probably a few instances of demonstrations, things like that, no retail element. To the neighbors, to the outside world, other than the name on the door, there should essentially be no difference in the use. We're also asking for accessory overnight parking.
Yes, Councilor
Thank you,
Brewer.
President Dillon. Hi there. I hope your husband recovers quickly. Knee surgery is not easy. Just a couple of questions. The overnight parking of vehicles, how many are we talking?
We think it will be up to 5. There are 3 employees who will be working probably at the site each day. Everyone else, as obviously makes sense, goes to job sites. Several of them do take the vans or the trucks home with them at night. There may be some instances where the vans will be left in the parking lot overnight.
Okay, so how many vans?
Up to 5.
So 5 vans, no big tractor trailers, just 5 vans?
No, I believe it's Exhibit H to the packet we submitted is sort of a fleet photo, which is representative. There are a couple of Sprinter vans, smaller transit-type vans, a couple of pickup trucks. So any combination of that kind, but nothing in the way of a box truck or anything larger.
Okay. I'm very familiar with Dragon Court, and this building has been there forever. I really think this use probably is a lot less detrimental to the area. But for the council, for the council's benefit, you said you're in construction, or it's going to be construction materials?
No, it's an audio-video company, so it's more the items that we store there, inventory, things like wire, TVs.
Okay,
I wouldn't qualify it as construction materials.
okay,
Most of
okay.
the things are in boxes. You think of,
And there's dumpsters, I know that there's existing dumpsters, you're going to use the dumpsters that are already there, or,
the intent is for existing dumpster to stay, same type of,
okay,
same type of use and operation for existing dumpster. No, we don't propose any changes to the building, the lot, the configuration. It's gonna be what's inside.
it
and
is,
the
it's
change
all
in
the way at
electric.
the end. The Attorney, one of the biggest issues we have over at Dragon Court, quite frankly, is speeding. So I don't take any exception to this use. I know you're going to have employees on the site. If you could ask them to be mindful, to obey the speed limit. We do send the patrols over there quite often. I don't know, maybe it's because it's a straightaway, but that's typically the most complaints I get have to do with people doing 60 miles an hour up that street. So I take no exception to this. The only thing I will ask the council to ask you to do is register those vans in the city of Woburn,
Okay.
which is pretty standard when we're doing overnight parking. Aside from that, I don't have any, your hours of operation are pretty much Monday through Saturday, I think, correct?
Correct.
And 7 a.m.?
Yeah, 7-ish to whenever they wrap up on jobs, and I come in
So
with
that
between
will
4
be-
and 6 p.m.
So 7 to 6?
Roughly,
Okay.
within those hours. Saturdays are usually a little bit less, but typical week time hours would be like between 7 and 6.
Okay, so I'm going to add that as a condition as well. The hours of operation will be Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6, just in case something happens and you need to be there later. Sound good on Saturday?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's acceptable, thank you.
That's all I have. The counselors who are familiar with this area might have some additional questions or even concerns, I don't know. But I'm good, President Dillon, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Make a motion to open the public hearing?
A motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward. How are you tonight?
Could be better, thank you.
Just state your
Chris, did you
name and
have knee
address,
surgery
please.
too?
Quadriceps.
Oh, no.
Mary and Chris Owen, 3 Florence Terrace. It's a small street off of Dragon Court, which you're very familiar with. The petitioners are portraying this as less non-conforming. We absolutely disagree. Artistan that was a very nice neighbor. You know, it was a small group of machinists, engraving, machine tools. Yes, it was light manufacturing. I think the total maximum was like 9 employees, but they worked there. They didn't come and go all day long. This may be a simple, no change outside the building, but it's adding 5 vehicles parked there overnight. Those 5 vehicles are for the technicians. They install, service, and support audiovisual aids. So they'll be coming and going. They're going to be adding traffic to Dragon Court. And I'm not sure if you're aware what Dragon Court is. It's on the east side of Woburn, on the Reading line. It's a long, straight road,
I'm very familiar
about
with it.
2,000 feet long that ends, it's a dead end, ends at 93, gets cut off, and then continues into Reading. It's a dead-end street. The northern end is IP. Southern end is all residential. In fact, more residential now than it used to be. The traffic is a major concern. We view this as more non-conforming by the nature of the operation. They were low impact. They weren't coming and going. They didn't have a showroom. They didn't have a demonstration facility there. In fact, Artistan, their delivery was a 3-foot wide door. They had no receiving dock. That's how small the supplies were getting there. The traffic is a major issue in Dragon Court, especially when the businesses change shifts. It's backed up, it's fast, and in between time, we get the 65-foot trailer trucks blasting down the street. And if they're not blasting down the street, they're parking on the side, running. So we've asked them a few times to move on if they could, out of the residential area. You know, we did read the application, but we didn't get a copy of it, so we can't be sure, but we never got a total number of employees. If it's the 5 vans that they want there, that means at least 5 employees, plus the 3 in the office, right? So 8 employees roughly. But that turns into 13 parking spaces. I don't know where they're gonna put 13 parking spaces in that lot. You know, their employees, when they drive in, pick up their truck and then drive out again. 13 parking spaces at any one time on there. The parking that they've outlined in their plan is in the IP portion. And no, I totally disagree with their allegation that they've been sort of penalized with its zoning changes. It is in residential zone now. A small fraction of, actually the 5 parking spaces are in the IP zone. But if you look at the old maps, not just the 1985 map, the 70 map, or the 63 map, it's always been a residential zone. And the last change that was done, roughly 2002, was for one business alone, to change the zoning down a couple hundred feet. That impacted the residential areas for one business. The next zoning change that was done, or actually older, 1980s, late 80s, was the same issue. The zoning line moved again for the benefit of one developer, all to the detriment of the residents in that area.
1980, you said.
So late 1980s, it was from Mr. Murray, moved the zoning line up to the edge of Dragon
I
Court.
just want to make sure I heard the date right.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the area.
Yeah, so that was the late 80s. The 2002 was for Lightron Company, which sold and moved on. But both of those moved industrial closer and closer. It's not what they're doing, it's the traffic that they'll be generating. They say it's not going to impact us, but they don't do traffic trips. They don't put out a parking plan for that lot that you can't fit in. And then what happens when they have visitors for the demos in the showroom? That's our major objection. You know, they don't, as I said, quite clearly talk about their hours of operations. It's sort of in that range. The former company was 5 in the morning to 3:30, so sort of away from the business hours in the late afternoon. You know, 9 employees maybe. They didn't have on-site parking. In fact, I don't think anybody up there has a permit for overnight parking. I know definitely the parking lot across from them is not allowed. I don't think it's allowed in Boyd or in Comeric's for commercial vehicles. So this would be a change there also, because I can see that other people are starting to apply for this. They do have one outside storage shed and the one dumpster, and that actually sits right where there is a receiving door, a large door. So if they're planning to use the receiving door, that dumpster's going to move, again impacting the parking lot. Delivery supplies, they were a little vague on that. It's the standard UPS, FedEx truck and everything. Well, a standard FedEx truck going up that street is a 65-foot trailer right now. And then gazillions of Amazon trucks and everything else. Dragon Court is the sole method of accessing that IP area. It never was fixed to make it a non-dead-end street. It was never fixed to make alternative methods. It was proposed at one time. The reason a lot of the residents up there complain about traffic is there are also 2 gates that allow people to circumvent Washington Street, Mishawam, and Commerce Way by sneaking up through back ramps to go down Dragon Court or up Dragon Court to get to the businesses. Those are supposed to be locked. They never are. So presumably, they'll be going up and down Dragon Court, not down, up and down one of those gates. I think I've sent you pictures before.
Oh, over the years.
Many.
May I?
Yes, please.
Over the years, we've had many, many issues with those gates. Sometimes they're working, sometimes they're not. I don't know when they're not working if someone doesn't tell me.
Yeah.
And you're saying right now the gates don't work. So
Oh, they never work. You can watch a FedEx truck come right up it and deliver, and then it goes back down.
Right.
That's okay.
So on a side note, we'll
Yeah.
do what we always do. We'll go to Inspector Quinn and we'll get him to help us get those gates working again.
Yeah.
In terms of the parking plan, I agree 100%. We should have a parking plan. I hear what you're saying and understand your concerns. I would not be opposed to sending this to committee in order to see a parking plan. But in the bigger scheme of things, I'm not as concerned about the number of vehicles, but should more information come to light when we get to committee, then we'll take it from there. But I will ask the attorney to bring us a formal parking plan. I went down there myself. I thought it looked like there was enough parking. Inspector Quinn thought it would look like we're good. But if we'll give you some level of comfort, I'm happy to send this to committee and have some additional, if my fellow counselors are willing to do that.
I agree, if it was just the 5 vehicles, but then if you take the people that have to drive there and pick them up.
And again, if the council is amenable to that, and of course I'm the attorney, I will recommend we go to committee, take a closer look at it, and make sure we can tighten it up to make sure that what is being represented can actually be done. Fair enough?
We really don't understand the numbers of people, because 5 cars overnight there, how many technicians?
They don't give total number of employees.
Yep, and to give you both, through the chair, to Chris and Mary, I've known you both for a very long time, to give you a level of comfort about this, I have no problem asking my fellow counselors here to send this to committee so we can get a parking plan and more detail that will give you a level of comfort. So that's the recommendation I'm going to make when we're finished with the public hearing.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you both.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this matter? Please step forward.
I was able to text for some answers to some of the questions. Applicant is watching on the live stream. So there are a total of 8 employees. There are 5 vans and a pickup truck. So if all 5 vans were to be parked overnight, the employees who are driving those vans during the day would be bringing their personal vehicles, putting them in the place of the van, and taking the van for the day. So there shouldn't be an impact where there would be twice as many cars as people, because whoever's taking a personal vehicle to the location would then be taking a van that was at the location or a truck that was at the location and leaving. Sometimes they're doubled up. As far as coming back and forth during the day, typically, as best can be done, the vans are loaded at the beginning of the day for the morning or the night before, whatever it may be, and they're gone for their day. They're going from job site to job site to job site. It's not very always practical or economical to have them coming back and forth to pick up more materials. You think everyone's familiar sort of with an Amazon truck. You look at it and it's packed for the day, they take off for the day, and they're just going in order. So typically that would be the type of thing that would as best it can be done, be how the traffic would be handled that way. There is additional space available along the building where vehicles can be parked. The plot plan that we provided, the request to the surveyor was to show where the overnight parking that we were requesting would be. We did not ask for a full parking. We were focused on the overnight parking for the request for the overnight parking.
Yes, Councilor
Through the
Brewer.
President. So thank you for that explanation. I think it's important for us to get a parking plan. Typically, we would ask for one anyway, but at this point, if the residents who live in that area are concerned about it, there's no way I'm going to suggest we move forward unless we have one and we know exactly where those cars are going to be parked. So, and all we're talking about, attorney, is one special permits meeting, and then we'll likely go back to meeting in first of October, I think?
October.
Somewhere around there. But in order for me to move forward with it tonight, that's what I'm going to ask for.
Could I ask a question? Is it possible to bifurcate and split? Would both the request for the extended non-conforming use and the parking need to go together, or could the use be considered and the parking be separated?
Well, they were filed as
together, so they stay
yes.
together.
I mean, I'm not an attorney, but they were filed as one, and I would think they need to go together. And again, if there's concerns, and I looked into your business. I'm not concerned, but I am concerned when I hear from residents because this particular area has been through a lot. You heard Mr. Owen and Mrs. Owen talk about all the zoning changes that have happened over there over the years. It's a very sensitive area. So it's certainly worth another meeting to get to a level of comfort. So that's where I'm at with it, and I'm going to ask the council to do that. Thank you, Attorney.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in this matter?
Make a motion that the public hearing be continued and the matter go to special permits.
What date?
October 1st.
October 1st?
October 1st for the public hearing.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Bond Brothers, Inc. for special permit under section 5.1 subsection 57A, 57B, and section 7.3 to allow for administrative offices and training center, accessory storage of construction equipment and materials, accessory repair of vehicles and equipment, storage of 10 storage containers for tools, storage of 6 storage containers for pipes and fittings, overnight storage of commercial vehicles, continued use of non-conforming structures and parking, and the continued use of non-conforming property for parking of commercial vehicles and equipment at 22 North Maple Street A and 22 North Maple Street R. Communication dated, give me 1 second, please. Dated August 27, 2024, was received from Attorney Joseph R. Tarby. Further communication dated September 11, 2024, was received from John Cashel, the Planning Director. And let me just confirm. Those are the communications.
Make a motion that communication be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Attorney Tybee, you're working hard tonight.
He does, but I'm happy to be here for him. Again, Glenn Wood, Rubin, and Rudman pitching in for my friend Joe Tarby. I'm here on behalf of Bond Brothers at 22 North Maple Street. With me tonight to speak are Carlton Quinn from Allen and Major, as well as Michael Moore from Bond Brothers. The special permits involve the continued use of the existing building for administrative offices and a training center, the interior and exterior storage of construction equipment, materials, and support equipment, repair of vehicles and equipment, a storage of, as proposed, 16 in total box storage containers, all 8 by 20, commercial vehicle storage overnight, and the total of that I have is 43. It's a continued use of a non-conforming structure and parking spaces, and the continued use of the rear parcel for parking and storage. Bond Brothers is a well-respected business that's been around for 100 years. It's a continued use, as I said, of the existing building and as well as the use of the rear parcel. There has been some amount of discussion with Ward Councilor DeMambro, and we've taken some of those points into consideration. And now, in fact, there is, and the plans show this as we presented by Mr. Quinn, there is a curb cut at New Boston Street off of the rear lot and proposed fencing. Also, Mr. Moore will be prepared to talk about business operations. There's no change in lighting, and it's all gravel, and there's no proposed changes in drainage. And I think with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Quinn from Allen and Major. Thank you.
How are you tonight, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Carlton Quinn with Allen and Major Associates, civil engineer for the project. I'm just going to walk through the aerial here above you, and then a couple of plans to show the existing and the proposed conditions of the lot. This T-shaped building in the middle here, this is the main structure on the building, and it's a T-shaped lot as it comes up like this, and it kind of comes back and around like this. The existing lot's approximately 3 acres, zoned industrial park, and is currently vacant, but historically was used for a heavy equipment dealer. This is a plot plan or existing conditions of the existing lot here. You can see the T-shaped building. This is the parking around the building for the employees and visitors. And this is basically kind of a gravel equipment yard back here, as you saw in the aerial, with the vehicles parked out there. The use is going to remain fairly the same. The lot is going to remain the same. There's no earthwork proposed other than the curb cut that was requested. The main improvements here is we're going to restripe the parking to make sure that we meet the zoning requirements for dimensionally ADA, and we're going to put an 8-foot privacy fence around the whole lot with a 8-foot security fence with privacy slats installed to provide screening from the abutters. This is the proposed curb cut up off New Boston Street here. We've got a blow up of that to just show that we're putting in some granite curbing, a small paved area with a sliding gate here to allow access in and out of the equipment yard in the back. That's all the improvements for the lot that I have to present tonight. Thank you.
Questions? Councilor DeMambro.
So I've been in extensive conversations with Attorney Tobby. I've also been in communication with all you folks. I paid a couple of visits down at your Everett facility. I reviewed this thoroughly with Commissioner Quinn. There are some concerns. There are some things that I've discussed with Attorney Tobby as well as Commissioner Quinn that are concerns of ours. The storage containers being one of them. There's also the matter of that lot, when you have heavy rains, that lot will flood. So that is something that Attorney Tobby said Alan Majors, I believe, was going to look into. I'm not sure of that, where that is on your end. The gate installation, that was a request. It seems like that's being explored as well as designed with the I believe you guys are gonna have a power gate installed?
Yes, sir.
Fully automated. I have a few more concerns. I believe this should go to committee so that we can hash out some of the questions that I still have, some of the unanswered questions from Attorney Tobby as well as Commissioner Quinn. He's looking into a few things as well. I also want to take and have a little bit more research done on flooding that usually occurs on that lot when there's a heavy rain. Regardless if it's spring or whether it's fall, it happens. That lot's been there for 35, 40 years, and I've been up there for 53, so I've seen it numerous times. I would suggest this go to committee so we can hash these things out, as well as I've spoken to Attorney Tobby. Public hearing would be scheduled, I would suggest, for October 15th, so that we can get all these questions ironed out and some of these wrinkles. I understand that property was always used in one way, shape, form, or another as either a truck depot. I believe Rock Tenants ran his facility out of there with trucks. And there was also CN Wood. It was a Volvo dealership. There's been heavy equipment on that property for many decades. Again, we do have some questions, and there are some things that need to be ironed out. So at this point, unless any of my other fellow city councils have any questions.
Councilor Demers.
Yeah, my only concern would be with the Connex box-style storage containers. I think this council, of all councils, has been very consistent in that we don't want them to be considered permanent structures on any site within the city. So I'd like to hear more about those, what their intent on the site would be, and if they're going to be temporary or considered permanent, because that would go against what we've done at other sites and actually held folks accountable on in terms of those being there permanently. I think we need to be consistent on that issue, because we can't take one petitioner through the ringer on that particular issue and then just allow it at another site. But I have full faith that Councilor DeMambro, in his meetings with the petitioner and the attorney and that special permits will be able to iron something out. But I don't know if the petitioner could tell me right now you know, what is the intent for those box storage containers?
Sure. Good evening, Michael Moore for Bond Brothers. Our intention on the storage containers is a temporary storage. So our containers are fit out with specialty tools and equipment that we send from project to project. So the storage on the site would be temporary when it was in between projects. So we could have as few as 2 or as many, and I know our original number was 16. We're going to back that down to 8 as a max. But it's to provide security for tens of thousands of dollars of specialty tools that if we were to leave in a less secure structure would be a potential for theft for us. So that's the main reason for mobility, to get them to job sites, but also to keep them secure.
So these Connex containers are going to be coming and going from the site?
They come and go, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yes. Anyone else? Councilor Viola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Where it says you can have overnight parking of commercial vehicles, how many vehicles, what sizes?
So there's a breakdown provided on the plans that were submitted. This, which is shown here, this is maximum anticipated. This is not anticipated on a nightly basis. You know, some of these machines should be in a slow time in the winter or in for repair, but the bulk of our vehicles are taken home nightly by our employees. They are not left on the site. But this is the group of trucks that we would currently anticipate, or excavators, similar equipment which has been stored on that property for years, would be the max that we would expect to see on the property at any time.
And everything will be registered within the city?
Yes.
Thank you.
Everything that is registered. Some of the stuff isn't registered, some of the excavators and stuff.
Councilor Papalato.
Yes, we've had some issues with these containers before, and I know Councilor DeMambro and Demers related to that. So could you describe this one more time? I don't think I quite got it. These going to be coming and going? They're going to be there? Or how long are they there for, and what's the long-term plan?
So the length would vary depending on project to project. Some containers go from project to project to project. We may have a lull in between projects. We may have one there for 6 months. We may have one there for 3 months. We may have one there for close to a year. I understand that the permit required from the city is an annual renewal, which is why we're asking for the number of 8. There may be 8, but it may be 20 different containers in the year that hit that spot, but we're capping the number at 8 because of the concern expressed to us by the city council, and hoping that can be acceptable due to the nature of our business and needing to keep those tools secure.
Has Inspector Quinn been out to the site to look around there yet? Because he had a big problem with the last time we went through this.
He has been to our existing facility in Everett, which we are actually maintaining as well. We are not closing that facility. We are just, because of the expansion and growth of the company, we need additional space. So that's why we're able to work with some overflow, and we will primarily leave them in Everett where that city does not have an issue with it, but we wanted to have the flexibility to put some here should we run out of space at that location.
Okay. I think it'd be a good idea to have Inspector Quinn down there to take a look to see what's there, because it created a big problem the last time we went through this, and I don't want to put you in a bad spot.
He has visited our Everett facility. He and Councilor DeMambro have both been to the facility.
Through the chair, President Dillon.
Councilor DeMambro.
Just to let you know, Councilor Papalato, I have made 2 visits to the site, one unannounced, the other one with Commissioner Quinn. We met with Attorney Tobby. We walked the whole site, inside and out. They were very hospitable. They let us go through all the garages, everything, the outbuildings. They got a lot of stuff on that property. There's no questionable doubt. And at that facility, there were approximately 19, if you can correct me.
17, I believe.
There were 17 boxes, many of which were 40-footers. We did express our concerns. They have taken that into serious consideration. I understand that the petition is written for 16 20-foot boxes. They've backed it down to 8. Again, through my conversations with Attorney Tobby, we have negotiated it down to 8. And again, the consideration, and I would like my fellow councilors to consider this, I have been informed, and I strongly believe that these are working containers that do hold quite a bit of materials, jackhammers, pumps, numerous generators, high-end stuff, that the gentleman is correct. They pick these boxes up with forklifts, they put them on low bids, bind them down, take them to their job sites. They detach them, they leave them on the site, because also, you know, they're double steel-walled containers with 4 padlocks, 2 per each door. So I can see why they're using these containers. They're oversized toolboxes, and I can understand why, being the business of construction and heavy construction that they are.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
I don't have a problem with it, but I don't want to see them get to a point of no return where you run your business with these as you are now, and then there's a problem later. So
Understand.
if you say that we're okay and Tom Quinn says we're okay, I'm okay.
Thank you, sir.
And we're open to putting them in a specific part of the property if that's more beneficial to the, to neighbors, where there is an area that's elevated where these would blend in. If that helps with it, we're open to placement on the property, with advice from the city of council, if that's more amenable.
Councilor DeMambro.
Just through the chair again, this is why I'm requesting this to go to committee, so that we can iron out a few of these little wrinkles that need to be addressed. And again, this has kind of been a fluid thing for the last, I would say, 3 months. So, and we've whittled it down to this, but we still have some tweaking still to do. Thank you.
Councilor Braun.
Oh, thank you. So the containers, I mean, they're not really allowed by our municipal code, only for a short amount of time. But if they're being used specifically as part of, there's a name, I think there's a name for this kind of box.
Gang box.
Gang box, that's so essentially a big toolbox. So under those circumstances, I will consider this when we get to committee, because our municipal ordinances do not allow for these things to remain on your site. You have to come to us, ask for a special reason for them. You're only supposed to have them for a year. But if we're talking about something different, I will keep an open mind for committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Make a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to come forward and speak on this matter? Seeing no one.
If I may.
Yes.
Councilor DeMambro, does the October 1st meeting look good for this, or would you want to?
I would like the next committee meeting and October 15th for the public hearing.
October
Make a motion to continue the public hearing to the regular meeting of October 15th, and the matter be referred to the Committee on Special Permits.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice evening.
Next item on the agenda is the petition by President Dillon per request of the mayor to amend the Woburn zoning ordinances and Woburn zoning map regarding the state's MBTA 3A communities legislation to include the new MBTA non-age restricted multifamily overlay district, MBTA OD. The communication dated August 22nd, 2024 was received from John Cashel, the planning director, with the recommendations of the planning board.
Make a motion that communications be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Second.
The motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Mayor Concanon, how are you tonight?
How are you, Mr. President?
Very good, sir.
Members of the council. Director Cashel is a bit under the weather today. He had a procedure over the weekend. What you have in front of you tonight is the recommendation from the planning board. It contains the language that they recommended, and I believe that this council wanted regarding the affordable housing percentage. At this point, I'm not sure what additional information the council may want or need before rendering a decision, but it is on the agenda tonight. That is the status update. I'm happy to try to answer any questions you might have. But I think at this point, we've heard from the planning board, and I think it's in the council's hands.
Questions? Counselor Bowen?
And Mayor Concan, I'm not sure you're going to be able to answer this question, but it is an outstanding question. I think in committee, we decided we're going to keep taking a look at this. But more importantly, the addition of the affordable housing, I don't think it was ever discussed in committee if this version that came from the planning board has been reviewed by the folks who, at the MBTA.
The consultant that we had been
So there's
utilizing?
the process, so we use a consultant, he does his thing, and then it gets submitted to somebody else who reviews it. So that's my question, has this language, if this were to be voted on in October as it's written, does it pass muster with the MBTA 3A communities folks in terms of the affordability piece? And I don't recall us having that conversation. So that would be one action item, and I know Director Cashel, I hope he gets better, feels better soon. But that would be one thing we probably need to just verify.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Counselor Toro?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I think during council meetings or committee meetings, there was a meeting with, I think his name was it Scott Thornton? Was that from the MBTA?
Mr. Bosworth.
Oh, Boswell, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know where that name came from. I think that happened, correct?
Yeah,
Was there any insight, any valuable information that could pertain to this, as I think some of the parcels in the proposal do include the MBTA's properties?
Yeah, 39 acres.
Yeah, as you allude to, the zone that's been carved out that's before the council does include the majority of land is MBTA land. And as was referenced in the committee meeting last week, Mr. Bosworth did reach out to us, came and spoke last week. Very rough general idea of what the MBTA may or may not want to do at a couple of its regional transportation centers, including Anderson. It was really just an introductory meeting where I think his message, and President Dillon was at the meeting as well, his message was essentially that the MBTA is looking at potential development ideas at Anderson, and the main message was they would like the city of Woburn to be part of the discussion. So this was the first of probably several discussions, more of an introductory nature. Mr. President, I'm not sure if you'd agree with that characterization.
I 100% agree with that. I think, to quote him, he was there to gather information from us, what would have in mind, and more, I knew I was expecting a little bit more information from him, but as you say, it was really very more of a fact-seeking meeting.
Yeah,
than
there really weren't any plans or anything shared. It was really just what we had seen out in the media, that the MBTA is looking at 3 or 4 different locations across the state where they may want to develop these transportation center parking lots, essentially. So I would expect much more conversation before there's a real thing to be talking about.
Correct. Yes, Councilor Bowen.
And the question is to both President Dillon and Mayor Concanon, because you folks were in the room. So I know initially when we were reached out to, it was to talk about this land under the assumption that, the MBTA 3A Communities Act was going to be passed at some point, because as everybody's described, we're sort of being forced to do it, right? So what they're talking about doing is under that umbrella, correct?
Not really. Interestingly enough, it was more, it was 2 different conversations. The first one is we gave an update at the beginning on where this process stands in Woburn, mentioned it would be coming here again tonight. And then Mr. Bosworth and the gentleman with him talked in general terms about what they had in mind for different transportation centers. It didn't seem like what they wanted to do was dependent on what we were planning on doing. It might be that the two come together,
since we're talking about the same parcel of land, I mean, but I didn't get the sense that he came out to have the meeting because of where we were in our process, if that is your question.
Okay. I only asked that because the original meeting that was trying to be set up had everything to do with this. So maybe that has changed, I don't know. But I so appreciate that you both had the opportunity to meet with him and.
I'm not
that you-
sure, when you say the meeting that was to be set up, I got a call from Mr. Bosworth saying he wanted to come to Woburn and talk about what they might have in mind at Anderson.
The city council was reached out to sometime back in June about plans that they have for. That meeting did not happen because you can't have a meeting with the city council without having a public hearing. That's
Yeah, and I
not
don't-
appropriate. So
He
that didn't happen.
He didn't discuss any specific plans,
Okay, great.
not yet, anyway.
All right. Well, thank
Yeah.
you both. I appreciate that.
Just for the record as well, we did give him a correspondence inviting him to
Right.
attend a future city council meeting, and his response was he'd be glad to do that when we were further along and had something more to discuss. Is that a correct way of?
Yeah.
So after this is done, I'm going to take that to mean after this is done. But I thank you both I'm glad that he reached out to you, Mayor, and that you had an opportunity to at least get a first face visit. So thank you both.
Thank you, Mayor Concan.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Make a motion to open up the public hearing?
Second.
A motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward.
Make a motion to continue the public hearing to October 15th.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is under committee reports from finance. On the school capital budget fiscal year 2025, order that a sum of $850,000 be transferred from stabilization fund to various capital projects. The committee report was received, ought to pass.
Make a motion that the committee report be adopted.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
On the order to appropriate $30 million for reconstruction of Fire Station 4 and 5, and to authorize borrowing of said funds, the committee report was received, ought to pass.
Make a motion that the committee report be adopted.
Second, and on the motion?
Yes.
I did speak with Mayor Concanon earlier this evening and President Dillon about this. I would like to please get for the council copies. The other night when we had a meeting in committee on this topic, everyone was there to talk about it, including Pat Sayeda, our consultant. But we didn't get any of the documentation that we were talking about. So as a condition of approving this, I'd ask that we do receive all that documentation to each one of the city councilors.
That's in the form of a motion.
It is.
Second.
Through the city clerk's office.
Before,
Yeah.
Councilor Papalato.
Yep, so in the committee meeting that we had a week or so ago, I thought long and hard after that to figure out what was the right thing to do. I actually talked to Chief Kenton about it. He filled me in on a lot of details that I was unaware of. I fully support improving the fire services. After the conversation, I supported it before and I supported it even more after. But at the end of the day, this is a big, big number. It's $30 million. Mayor, you even stated that in the meeting. This is a significant ask. And what I would like to see is the details of this. So if I just had a garage and a walkway put in my house, and I would never have just approved this without seeing the details of what it was going to cost to do different things out there. So I feel like we're owed that information so that we can see the 14.5 and the 14.5, this is what's going to cost, and this is how it's going to add up to that 14.5. So that's kind of what I think, and from a transparency standpoint, because it's such a large number, I feel like the taxpayers should see this, what they're paying for. And I just think with any construction project of any nature, whether it's home or municipalities, the numbers have to be transparent for everybody. No one is going to approve anything without seeing some level of detail. And I feel like this falls into the same bracket as that. So I'd love to be able to support this, and I will support it if I see the numbers and it looks reasonable to me. But without seeing any numbers, I don't have a comfort with just approving this.
Thank you. Councilor Braun.
So, through the chair, in the interest of trying to satisfy what Councilor Papalato has asked for, which is not really a big, it's not a big ask. We know the information is available, based on my conversation with Mayor Concanon, based on my conversation with President Dillon, based on hearing all the, we did hear a lot of the details in the room. I don't think it's a big ask to say, hey, let's have one more meeting, get the information, and then seal it. And unless, I'm missing something here. I mean, we're so close to getting this over the hurdle, but if it means going out 9 to 0, 9 in favor, I think it's worth the one meeting. But that's just, I'm going to support it tonight if you're not willing to do that. But the information's there, so what's one more meeting?
Thank you.
I have
Councilor
a
Toral.
question. Sorry, just have a question procedurally. I don't think you called the communication to a call, right? So if there's both the communication on the motion, and then the regular
It
motion.
has not been called yet, correct.
So for neither one, right?
Correct.
Thank you, I just wanted to confirm that.
Yes, you are correct,
Thank you.
Clerk Higgins.
I just have a question for Mayor Concanon, just for my own recollection. So if this were to be approved tonight, the $30 million, the consultant who gave the numbers of 14.5 million, give or take, for the construction of 4 and 5, those aren't numbers technically set in stone. Once it's authorized, it goes out to bid based on the set of plans, and then, to 1, 2, I don't know how many contractors, I don't know what the requirement is, and then those are discussed. It's not, we don't actually have numbers per se, actual numbers, until it goes out to bid and we get
Right.
construction costs. So these are all estimates.
cost
that the
estimates.
So nothing set in stone, and being in construction, there's obviously variables throughout the project. So, I think the council just has to understand, and again, I'll go either way on this, but that we're not going to get true numbers at this moment. They're just based on a consultant's expertise, and until these plans get put out to bid, we have no true numbers.
Right,
So,
and the request
just
is for the authorization to go out to
start the
bond
process.
to a certain limit, 30 million.
which we've established, I think I asked the question in committee that from now until potential build-out could be 3 years, essentially, from, bid, build-out, I think 2.5, 3 years, I think the
Yeah,
consultant
we hope it's
said.
not that long, but
But based on potential worst-case scenarios, I think 2 years was probably a very reasonable number. But at what point, and again, I might be kind of throwing you under the bus here real quick, but at what point do we actually, if we were to give the authorization for the 30 million, at what point can we actually see, or would we see true numbers? Like, is that?
yeah, we can, to Councilor Mercer-Bruin's point, we can share the cost estimate background that led us to the 14.5 for this particular model of a station. And then if approval is granted, again, we're requesting the authorization to bond. We're not requesting to spend X dollars precisely on a particular station. We would immediately begin the design process. I mean, immediately. And as soon as those numbers start coming in and we have the bid prepared, all that can be shared with the council. This will be completely transparent. But almost immediately would be the question. The answer we got from the consultants was, and I think they said it in committee, maybe by like next May or so, we would have the design complete and ready to go. And that could be shared with the council at that point.
And I think the goal here, I think part of the concern that Councilor Papalato mentioned is the cost, but I think the goal for everyone involved, Chief Kenton, the mayor's office, the city council, is to build these stations, which are desperately needed, at the most affordable cost, but supporting not only the need of our city now, but for our expanding needs over the next 10, 15, 20 years, with the new station in near the Goodyear and such. So, like you mentioned, the 30 million isn't, hey, we're going to spend this 30 minutes. It's authorizing the bond to borrow that if necessary. Again, depending on what the design comes in at
And
as
begin
well.
the process of design.
Yep. Thank you for the clarification.
Councilor DeManvo.
Mayor Concanon, I agree with Council Papalato, and I agree with Council Toro. I think it would be in the matter of transparency for the public. I think the hesitation or the leeriness is numbers that are rather large with nothing to show. Rendering some breakdown of some numbers, I think, is going to truly help the public as well as the council, and I understand the bond has to be done first. But if we can present any type of a rendering or anything, or just to be a little bit more transparent on what the plans, the future plans are for stations 4, 5, as well as 1, I think that's probably going to be very, very important when it comes to the public.
And to the point that I think Councilor Mercer-Bruin made a minute ago, this information was shared in the committee meeting. We had the entire team there. Questions were asked. We shared that these are roughly 10,000 square foot, 3-bay stations, similar model, no reason to change up the configurations, adequate dorm space, the decontamination room. Those are the specifics that we have. Those are the specifics that were discussed. And there's a rough dollar per square foot cost that is in the cost estimate. So the information that I think we're looking for, those were the questions that were answered last week in committee. We can certainly produce the documentation, and to Councilor Mercer-Bruin's point earlier, if the council wants to approve the authorization on the bond tonight on a condition that we provide the hard copies that were discussed the other night, obviously no problem at all with that.
And any type of visual renderings, like the building could look like this, or it could look like that.
Yeah.
Just so the public has
We don't
some
have
sort of-
renderings just yet of the exterior facades, but we have the configuration. The bays look like this, the
bays, yeah.
dorms would be here, the decon room would be here. All of that
all good stuff.
exists.
That's-
We could definitely share that.
I think that's exactly it. Thank you, sir.
Councilor Viola, then Councilor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to piggyback off what Councilor DeMambro said, I would appreciate that information as well, if we could have it for the public, because I know I've had multiple residents reaching out to me requesting this type of information being put publicly. But quick question to Chief Kenton, if I could. Chief, how long have we desperately needed these new fire stations to be built?
Again, Station 3 was built in the 1800s. Station 4, 5, and 2 were built in the 60s. Station 1, the newest, is 44 years old. So
it's been a while.
very, very long time.
And how inadequate are these buildings up to, say, code now these days?
We're out of space. You know, what we're talking about at Station 4 is to get an ambulance in that area and an aerial in that area, where all the tall buildings are.
Right. Yeah. So it is a matter of public safety.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Bruin.
Yeah. So, and I originally was going to try to make a motion about attaching, as we talked about, condition. But as I've listened to Councilor Papalato and everyone else, it sounds like everybody's also getting phone calls. And I know Pat Saeta, I know all those people in the room, and I'm confident about those numbers. But let's face it, at the end of the day, we should have some documentation, right? So if it's not a hardship, Mayor Concanon, if we wait till our next public hearing on October 1st, get the information from Pat, I think that would be helpful for everyone at home. I think it would be helpful for everyone here, and maybe this thing goes off the floor. 9 solid yeses, and let's do it. Does that sound okay?
To me, sure.
Is the council okay with that?
Fine.
Okay.
Councilor Toro.
I'm all set. Thank you.
I'll withdraw my previous motion to move the question.
There's a communication one first.
Oh, all right.
So you can't
I
withdraw until that one's withdrawn, or voted on.
Councilor Bruin, would you repeat your motion earlier, just for the record?
For the information.
Correct.
Make a motion that Mayor Concanon forward all the details as put together by Pat Saeta and the team regarding the building of the stations with the rough estimates as to the cost.
Second.
It was already seconded.
Oh, good.
All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Now, on the main motion to adopt the order,
I'll withdraw.
who was the second? Someone who seconded withdraw?
I think I second it.
Okay, thank
I
you.
withdraw it.
And I'll withdraw the underlying motion.
And so the floor is open. Do you want to lay this matter on the table?
Make a motion that we lay this on the table until October 1st.
Second.
Second.
A motion and a second to lay this on the table till October 1st. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Concana.
Next item on the agenda is the order to dispose of Fire Station Number 3, 654 Main Street, and to authorize the mayor to convey the properties in accordance with general laws, Chapter 30B. A committee report was received, ought to pass.
Make a motion, the committee report be adopted.
Second.
On the motion.
Motion.
I believe there's some members of the public that'd like to speak. If we would make a motion to allow the public to speak.
There's a motion, and there's a second.
I need
you
to,
gotta-
I should withdraw my second.
I
on
withdraw my second.
Okay.
I'll withdraw, yeah, so you withdraw your second. Did you get that, Lindsay?
yep.
Sorry.
Motion and a second.
I'll make a motion that we allow members of the public.
Suspend the rules to allow members.
On the rules to allow members of the public to speak.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. Please state your name and address at the podium. Thank you. How are you tonight?
Good, thank you. Good evening. Cynthia Tachi, 16 Lowell Street. I was at the committee hearing last week, and it was very interesting at the discussion, and I agree with you, Darlene, Counselor, that we shouldn't be giving it away, that's for sure, the fire station. However, I wouldn't consider using the city hanging on to it and using it to fix that intersection, continuing to own that lot in order to straighten out the Clinton Street and to provide better access and safer access to the Boys and Girls Club. I am on the Facilities Committee of the Boys and Girls Club, and there's been a lot of discussion about how beneficial it would be not to have everyone coming out onto Main Street trying to take a left when the double lights are messing things up for both directions for half a mile, and how things get backed up on there. They would very much like a working, safe intersection at Clinton Street. And so I would like to see the city hang on to that property and not putting it out on the auction block, but using it for the benefit of the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in this matter? Please step forward. How are you tonight, sir?
I am doing good, sir.
Just your name and address, please.
My name is James Curley. I actually live at 6 Kimball Court, Woburn. I actually lived at that intersection for almost 40 years. I do understand that that building is and basically is a huge eyesore. But like this lady just said, we don't want to just auction it off because basically, I think that could be utilized for something, maybe if you wanted to do something historical with it, maybe. Turn it into a rec center or something like that, maybe. But for that building to just be sold off, I think it should be used for the citizens of this city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in this matter?
Make a motion to go back to the regular order of business?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That
Make a
passes.
motion that the order be adopted?
Second.
There's a motion and a second that the order be adopted. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed.
Opposed? So,
Could someone ask for hands or something? 'Cause I gotta.
Yeah, show of hands, please.
all in
Or-
favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? 8-1.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda we have is, one moment, sorry. On the Committee from Personnel. On the reappointment of Margaret M. Pinkham to the Chair of the Woburn Board of Appeals, the committee report was received ought to pass.
Make a motion to adopt?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
On the reappointment of Richard Clancy to the Woburn Board of Appeals, the committee report was received ought to pass.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
On the reappointment of Daniel Parrish to the Woburn Board of Appeals, the committee report was received ought to pass.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
On the reappointment of John J. Ryan III to Woburn Board of Appeals, the committee report was received ought to pass.
Same action.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
On the appointment of Susan Cashel to the Woburn Housing Authority, a committee report was received ought to pass.
Same action.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
From the Committee on Public Safety and Licenses for the Woburn Friends of Hospice VNA Care for a special event permit for road race and health walk at Hon Pond and area streets on October 6, 2024, with a waiver of liability insurance. Committee report received ought to pass.
Motion that the committee report be adopted.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda we have under motions, orders, and resolutions is an order to determine whether the property located at 4 Maywood Terrace is a nuisance, as the term is used in Mass General Laws, Chapter 139, Section 1.
Make a motion the committee report be adopted, or excuse me,
Order.
the order be adopted.
Second, and on the motion?
Yes,
I
Counsel
just,
Boone.
briefly, because I know it's been a long night, the property in question has been a concern for at least 4 years, maybe a little bit longer, with various issues regarding trash and building violations, and most recently, a tractor-trailer cab, among many, many other things. And I don't take this action lightly, and had many conversations over the years with Inspector Quinn, and he is very much aware that I'm bringing this forward, and the Board of Health was also, I didn't have direct conversations with Jack Freilich, but he is aware, because I copied him on it. But Inspector Quinn and I have talked for a long time about this. It's time. So I thank you for your support.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is an order that the Committee on Special Permits review, special permit issued to Woburn Edens LLC, AKA Woburn Village, at 300 Mishawam Road.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to the Committee on Special Permits.
Second, and on the motion briefly.
Yes.
As some of you know, and I know the mayor knows, he worked on this with me before he was mayor. There were many concerns about the flow of traffic, and President Dillon, I know you've participated in this as well, so I appreciate. But we're at the point now where we're pretty much at full capacity, and as a result of that, our special permit requires that not only do we review it, but we review it and figure out what's working and what's not, and also that there's another road audit. I'm looking forward to doing this sooner rather than later, and not just for the parking, but how the vehicles are moving about at Woburn Village. And at some point, I will reach out to the city clerk, because I think Avalon needs to be at this discussion, and I don't think they'd need to be called in separately, because they weren't part of, it's two separate permits. So I will, with the council's support, I will work with Clerk Higgins to make sure that both of them are there.
Very good.
Thank you.
And on the motion is the second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda is the order establishing reduced hours for week 1 of in-person early voting for the November 5th, 2024 state election.
Make a motion that the order be adopted.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a
There are
motion to
two late,
suspend.
there's a late file amount, yep.
Make a motion to suspend the rules and add the following item to the orders of the day.
There is a motion and a
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
This is on the petition by Brian Butler and Siobhan Curran, 68 Arlington Road, Woburn, Massachusetts, for a special permit under section 7.3 of the 1985 zoning ordinances as amended to raise and rebuild a pre-existing non-conforming detached garage at 68 Arlington Road.
Make a motion that the matter be referred to a public hearing?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion to return to the regular order of business.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 9 o'clock. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.